Welcome to Chapter 9. After reading Chapter 9 and listening to the lecture, you should be able to answer the following focus questions. How do students' needs change as they develop? How do students vary in intelligence? How do students vary in ability and disability? How are special education, mainstreaming, and inclusion? What are special education, mainstreaming, and inclusion? How can you teach all learners in your inclusive classroom? In the text, the author describes several theorists' views of development. Development is the predictable changes all humans undergo. During the stages of development, maturing and learning to perform tasks that are necessary may occur at different times. Piaget developed a theory on cognitive development that had the following 4 stages: sensory, preoperational, concrete, abstract. Erikson's psychosocial theory provided the concept of psychosocial crisis, or crisis for the individual that is central to the individual's emotional and social growth. Kohlberg is considered the father of moral development, and his theory included 3 stages: preoperational, conventional, post-conventional. Maslow developed the hierarchy of needs and believed that people are motivated by a basic need for survival and safety. Childhood stresses and adolescent stresses have a dramatic effect on development. Make sure that you review this section in the text thoroughly. Variances in intelligence in many areas include the following. There are variances in intelligence in many areas, including the following: ability to learn, global capacity to act purposely, rational, and deal with the environment, adaptive learning abilities, use of prior knowledge, reasoning processes, culture specific. Intelligent testing are used to identify students' skills. There are many criticisms regarding their use. How do you feel about them after reading the text? Gardner developed the multiple intelligence theory, which provides several learning styles. Which learning style do you identify with? Intelligence is a combination of hereditary and environmental influences. The following terms are associated with students with special needs. Exceptional learners are children who require special education services to reach their full potential. Disabilities are conditions and impairments. An example of this would be needing a wheelchair to move from one place to another. Handicaps are challenges and barriers. An example of this would be high bank counters in buildings without ramps, or handicaps by society that pose challenges to the individual. Behavioral characteristics of learning disabilities include some of the following: discrepancies between potential and achievement, inability to problem solve, delay in academic achievement, lack of engagement with learning tasks, poor language and cognitive development, lack of reading skills and attention, impulsivity, poor motor coordination and motivation. Gifted and talented students have demonstrated the following: high attainment of intellectual ability, academic achievement, creativity, visual or performing arts skills, may challenge the school system. Gifted and talented criteria include the following traits and/or skills: precocity, perceptual sensitivity, persistent concentration, superior memory, efficient coordination, curtails learning and reasoning, flexible thinking, metacognition awareness, speedy processing, philosophical thinking. Examples of programs for gifted and talented include some of the following: in elementary, early entrance, grade skipping, non-graded classes, curriculum compacting. In junior high, grade skipping and telescoping, enrollment in high school or college, subjective concentration or curriculum compacting. In senior high, college enrollment, subject acceleration, advanced placement, mentorship, credit by exam, early college admission. Self-directed and independent study, individual education programs, and alternative and magnet schools. Special education is services and supports that teachers provide to meet the needs of students who are identified with disabilities, and specially designed instruction that meets the needs of an exceptional student. Examples are teachers who are trained in specific methods and materials to teach students with disabilities, are highly structured classrooms, hearing and visual and physical impairments. Inclusion is integrating all students with disabilities into general education classrooms with support. Mainstreaming is including all children in the classroom. Variances in the amount of services a school must provide to student within a general ed classroom. Here's a list of major special education laws. The Educational of All Handicapped Children's Act, Public Law 94-142, guaranteed all children with disabilities a free and appropriate public education. Students ages 3 to 18 were granted due process in regards to identification, placement, and services received. The Individuals with Disabilities Act, IDEA, extended the provision of PL 94-142 to 3 years to 21 years old students. Amendments to the Individuals with Disabilities Act, IDEA 97, and did or provided the following: emphasized educational outcomes, modified requirements, IEP guidelines, student discipline guidelines, procedural safeguards. The least restrictive environment requires a student must be mainstreamed into the general education classroom whenever possible, and the student and the child will benefit. Response to intervention, or RTI, is when general education teachers work with special education teachers on school-wide screenings and academic progress monitoring to ensure that students are responsive to instruction they receive in the classroom. RTI ensures students making no academic progress receive intensive instructional services. An individual education plan, or IEP, is a written plan that describes child's needs, goals, and methods for achieving goals, quality of services provided, and must be reviewed by a parent or guardian, the child, teachers, and other professionals such as a special education resource person. To meet the inclusion challenge, the teacher must be ready to accommodate individual needs, evaluate abilities and disabilities, refer evaluation as appropriate, participate in conferences, writing IEPs, due process hearings, communicate with parents, collaborate. The debate over inclusion includes a discussion of some of the following concepts: inclusion, or integrating all students with disabilities into general education classes with support, and full inclusion, or placing all students in general education regardless of disability and bring services to the student. The use of assistive technology or technology and software that can assist students' success. Collaborative consultation is essential to inclusion. Here are a few professional teachers whom you may collaborate with while implementing inclusion. A consulting teacher is a special education teacher who provides technical assistance. A resource teacher is a special educator who provides instruction in a resource room for students with disabilities. A school psychologist consults with a general ed teacher and arranges for the administration of appropriate psychological, educational, and behavioral assessment instruments. A speech and language specialist assesses students' communication abilities. A physical therapist provides physical therapy for students with physical disabilities. An occupational therapist instructs students with disabilities to prepare them for everyday living and work-related activities. Creating a truly inclusive classroom requires the following: partnerships with parents, assistive technology, talking word processor, speech synthesizer, touch-sensitive computer screens, computer screen image enlarger, teletyper writer, ultrasonic head controls for computers, voice recognition computers, television closed caption, and Curry's reading machines.